Thank you very much to everyone who's joining. I'm so happy to have our guest host, Javi Fuchs, on this amazing webinar where we're going to talk a lot about how to 6x your revenue by turning one-time buyers into brand loyalists using social and email. Javi, you want to make a quick intro before I get to your bio later?
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm really excited to be doing this with you because it's honestly, it sounds so huge. It sounds so monumental. It sounds so impossible when we say 6 times your revenue. But this is really stuff that you've worked clients through, that I've worked clients through, that High Flyer Digital is working clients through. It's done, it's proven, it's tested. It sounds, unbelievable. And quite frankly, it isn't. It's a lot simpler, I think, than what people expect. So I'm really excited that we're here talking about this tonight.
Yeah, it's such a critical part of the e-commerce world. A lot of brands kind of sleep on it, or they just kind of don't focus on it. And we'll get to why that is in a second, but it's just fascinating to see that and really excited to have that up, with everyone, get to understand it a little bit more. So absolutely. Number one, let's set the tone here. Let's set an understanding about, why we're even having this webinar, right? So have you ever wondered as a brand, how the top brands out there, how the top 1%, the Caspers, the Brooklynins, Away Travel, how they scaled up to billions in such a couple short years? They just kind of seemingly overnight, they just came out of nowhere, started, making billions of dollars, became the next unicorn. So that's the main question. Second, how the top 1% of e-commerce brands really utilize email CRM to drive their sustainable, predictable growth, right? That is another channel that's just kind of growing, and how do they leverage it at the level they do? Finally, next, how do you ensure a profitable e-commerce business that really is Amazon-proof and recession-proof? Everyone wants to try and compete with Amazon, own their customers. Amazon's a walled garden, as we know, right, Javi? You see you're nodding your head. It's exactly what it is. And how do we become Amazon-proof in some respects, right? And then finally, how do the top 1% just really leverage email, CRM, and social media to drive that sustainable, predictable? I kind of said that in the first slide, right? That was kind of repetitive, but that's how, that's the main question we want to ask, right? That's what we want to take away, right?
I think the real thing to also mention here is that the vast majority of businesses, many of them are already doing some form of email marketing or SMS or social. So what's the difference? What's that bit that they have to do to take it the next step to really scale it? Because a lot of times you're doing it, you have everything implemented, your automations, and you just plateau out. So even if someone's already, doing their social and paid and email and SMS, we're going to talk about other stuff here that really helps you just take everything that you're already feeling comfortable with, just bring it up to the next level again to scale.
Exactly it. How do you scale that, what you're doing now, to the next level, so it's not kind of the same old? As we know, there's a law of diminishing returns. You're going to end up going through what you're doing, and if you're not learning and refining and constantly evolving, you're dying, right? So great point. Great point. So some of the takeaways I'd like you all to have on this webinar is as follows, right? After this webinar, I'd like you to step back and say, here's what I gained from it. Number one, why repeat buyers provide a more profitable, predictable, and sustainable revenue stream for your business, right? These are your customers, and having them buy more often is so much more important than having them try you out once or twice, right? Or really, once for the most part. And we'll show you exactly the metrics on that. Number two, how do the top 1% utilize email and social to drive sustainable growth? And then
what are they doing different?
What are they doing differently? What's in their secret sauce? What are they drinking, right? Next, what are the methods to turn one-time buyers into repeat buyers? How do you do it? And how do you do it using email and social at the same time, right? Most people say you can either do one or the other, but now we're looking at it synergistically and saying, hey, there's a way to do it that combines both channels cohesively and in a more orchestrated fashion.
And in fact, I would take it a step further and say that that's possibly really the only way to successfully do it, is to make sure that you're on multiple channels.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. You have to be kind of everywhere, always on, and leveraging that 100%. Next, you want to also say, we want you to take away how to win back existing customers and ensure to a reasonable expectation that they never churn again, using either predictive strategies or just a better, more attention to them before they churn. That's going to be very important as well.
I know that this can be a a really tough point for businesses that started off very small, that when they were in the very beginning stages, they were able to give everyone a very personal touch. But at a
Right.
certain point, they growed the way they should, the way they wanted to, the way they were supposed to. And you get to a point where you can't give that same kind of personal touch anymore, especially if you're used to a brick and mortar type of store and e-commerce is newer to you. Figuring out how do you give that personal expectation, that personalized experience at scale.
Right.
You know,
That's exactly it. How do you scale that up to really make it effective? And how do you just turn it on autopilot in a way, right? And then finally, we're going to go into exactly how to measure success with some of the key performance indicators that matter. Lifetime value is a little bit of a longer window. So we want to kind of give you the ideas about how to measure it, how to really go back. If you're an e-commerce business owner, how do you measure it yourself? Or if you're working for a larger company or a business, how do you go back to your boss and get the buy-in you need to kind of, invest in that strategy? So we're going to give you some of the key performance indicators to work on. So those are the takeaways we want you to get out of this.